In our last session, we sidechained a kick drum through a gate to trigger a stutter effect in a synth. Each time the kick sounded, the gate opened and allowed our synth to pass through the gate. Sidechaining through a compressor will do the opposite. The compressor will reduce the gain of the instrument that is sidechained. This is a very popular technique in EDM as it allows the kick drum and the bass to share space in the mix. Whenever the kick sounds, the bass signal is attenuated. I've got a drum kit loaded up, and I wrote a 4 on the floor kick pattern. I've also loaded up a bass sound that has some length to it, and you should too. The effect of the sidechain won't be as obvious if your bass is an instrument with a little sustain. Once you've found a bass you like, enable your metronome and record this pattern: E, A, E, B, like this. Now we're going to add our compressor to the bass channel. Open Audio Effects and drag it on over to the device view window, or just drop it on the channel. Open the extended settings triangle and turn on Sidechain. Also set the audio input source to your drum kit, just like we did in the gate project. Now tap the spacebar to begin playback and start lowering the threshold of the compressor. You'll notice the gain reduction expressed in decibels underneath, and you'll hear a pulsing sound, especially if you mute the drum channel. Those are the basics. Now you may have noticed a bunch of presets in the compressor drop-down menu, and they are there for a reason. So let's go back to the audio effects in the browser, open the compressor, and drag the kick reducer preset on over to the channel. We can mute the compressor we dragged over earlier by toggling the activator button. You'll have to set the kick reducer up by enabling the sidechain and selecting the audio source again, so let's do that. While we're here, let's set this up so we can add more than just a kick to this channel. The way it's set up now, anything we write for this drum kit is going to activate the compressor, so I can't write a hi-hat pattern without it affecting the bass synth. But if we set it so the compressor is only receiving signal from the kick, we can write a full drum pattern with snare and hats and not have to worry about affecting the bass synth. To do this, set the second drop-down window to your kick drum only. You'll see you have options for pre and post effects, but we'll save that discussion for another day. For now, just make sure you've specified the kick. Now this preset we dragged over has a few little changes. Check out the different views available in the bottom of the display. It's actually kind of neat to notice the little differences between the presets. In this case, the ratio is set to infinity and the EQ is set to a low frequency. I encourage you to compare a bunch of different presets and use one you like. Don't forget to check out the info view window too. It will display a few little details about each control. Just hover your mouse over the control to learn what it does. Now that we've specified that the sidechain signal is only coming from the kick, we're free to spice up this drum pattern a bit. I'm going to add some hats and some snare. Since I've already got my kick, I'm going to use session record to overdub the backbeat and the subdividing instruments. And I'm going to show you a little trick on how I like to do this. On your Novation launch key, there's a red record button. We haven't used it because until this point, we've used the square pads to launch recording. Let's map this button to the session record function in Ableton. First, enable MIDI map mode with the key command Control M. You'll notice that everything turns purple, indicating that you're in map mode and that Ableton is waiting for you to select a button for mapping. Click on the session record button, and then touch the red record button on the transport controls on your launch key. A number will appear over that button, indicating that you've mapped the session record control to this button on your launch key. Use Command M to exit out of this and get rid of the purple. Now, enable the record function on your drum track and unmute it if you muted it before. Hit play and experiment with your drums. When you find something you like, press and hold the red record button on your launch key to overdub it. Like this. Quantize and edit until you're happy with your drum part. One more thing. Let's say I want reverb on only the snare drum. I can't use the send control on the channel because that will add reverb to the entire drum rack. what I need to do is add a reverb control to only the snare drum. So in device view, select snare, and the snare setting will appear. Now, drag a reverb from the audio effect over to the snare in device view. Voila! Reverb on the snare while the rest of the kit is unaffected. This is the end of part 1. Go on to part 2 before you submit this project. Good luck!